Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. The Intellivision Amico controllers, will they be a reality? Well, I don't know. Let's talk about it, right? It could be a possibility. Anything's possible. I was reading in the Intellivision_Amico Reddit a post by a friend of the channel, Gatoroos, and he made a couple of great points here, and I really do want to read what he wrote here, because I think it's worth a conversation and a video on this. Just because a video just gets more eyeballs, and what he has to say here is pretty interesting and pretty on point. And I responded to him, and I'll go over that here. John says they want to manufacture controllers in the summer, but they need investment to do it. How realistic is that, though? How realistic is that? Well, I don't know. It could be just stringing people along. It could be anything. At this point with this company, we don't know their motives. I mean, half their motives have to be not getting sued. That's a huge part of it, right? But let's go over what he wrote here. 2 years ago, Phil Adams said the controls cost over $50 each to manufacture. And at this time, they were intending to do a quality order of 100,000 consoles, so 200,000 controllers. With inflation since then, the cost is probably more today, but let's just say it's still $50. To avoid a completely unreasonable increase in cost, they would need to order a quantity, say, of 10,000 units. Yeah, sounds about right. 10 to 20. That's $500K. Plus, you need some slippage, contingency, and probably some staff to handle manufacturing issues and after-sales support, repairs, plus FCC certs, which are probably all expired by now. They also have EOL components that they need to replace, but let's just use the $500,000 figure for ease. Right? Those are pretty round numbers. I think we can run with that. Last time we heard the controller was $90, so they make $900,000 in revenue if they sold them all, right? $400,000 profit. That's great. That's a great deal for an investor. Is it though? 3 problems. First, the demand. There were less than 6,000 pre-orders for the console. The Amico Home app has between 1,000 and say 5,000. He put 4,999 downloads. The best-selling Amico Home game on Google Play barely reached 100 downloads, less than 500, and no other reached 100. Put that all together, on hope of selling even half the stock is vanishing. This English as a second language really messes with you. Vanishingly small. But let's just say they could sell 5,000 of them. They would almost break even, only 50K in the hole. Okay, maybe an investor would give it a shot under that scenario. Not so fast. A big chunk of those people have already paid $100 on the pre-order to the company. That deposit was for a console and 2 controllers. It stands to reason that the deposit could be used for 1 controller, so the company which has already spent that money will actually get 0 revenue for 5,000 or so the sales. That means a rather big sinkhole for any investor looking to fund it. That's true if they use it in that way. Oh, the third problem. They would owe Republic 50% of the gross revenue for each controller sold. So that's more money burned from an investor. Why would any sane investor think this is a good opportunity? Of course, Intellivision can just refuse to honor the deposits for use with the controller purchase, or say that the controller now costs $200. But realistically, if they sold more than a few hundred controllers, it would be surprising, given only 1 game even sold 100 copies. I think it's telling that Intellivision board has at least a couple of multimillionaires, actually 2 people worth more than $300 million at this point, on it, but none have been willing to fund this. Doesn't it sound like a lot of faith in the doesn't sound like a lot of faith in the product? Anyone have any realistic ideas on how they could achieve funding the controllers, right? And that's really what I responded to. And This was my response to him. Okay, there's two possible solutions. One is license the controller out, right, to an established manufacturer, right, on a percentage basis. So they're not going to pay you jack squat, right? They're just going to make these controllers on their own. They're going to develop them. You're going to give them, you know, the technology for the disc, basically, because I'm sure they can make the buttons, right? Or they could just emulate everything and call it, you know, something else, you know, whatever, for use with Amico Home. And that way, the third party would be more enticed to do it because they would only have to pay you for what they sell, not for what they don't sell, so they can make a limited run on them. You know, and even jack up the price, right? If they know that only 6,000 people, for example, ordered the console, they can just say, look, we're just going to make 2,500 of these. And we'll just sell them to Gen X and all these other idiots, empty nesters that have money to burn on, you know, on stupid shit, right? And make a decent profit doing that. You could do that, right? You could do that with a smaller company, a smaller run. Number two would be the in-house development. Well, he was talking about sharing the revenue if you do it in-house. Not necessarily, right? Because contracts are everything. And all you have to do is call this controller something else. They don't have to be the Intellivision Amico controllers. You call it Amico Go, Amico Lite, whatever. I mean, if it was me, guys, and if I was doing this in-house, I would make it a portable gaming device. I would make it something akin to the, remember the TurboGrafx portable? I mean, something like that. You know, something like that little cranky machine that they're doing, that other company. But you could play the games, right, on the controller. You could justify the $200 price. You could say, okay, look, all the games, these games are included with the system. It's $200, right? And you get the controller and you get these games included that you can play either on the tiny screen or you can play them on your TV, you know, whatever. But given the talent of one John Alvarado, right? Let me tell you, the problem is if you took John Alvarado's talent, right, with his company and you concentrated into its essential power, and maybe if you turned it into a laser, you could probably have the power to toast bread lightly. This guy, you know, I don't have any faith in him, and I don't think anybody realistically that cares about the Intellivision brand does either. I mean, this guy's just a face sucking up money. I mean, I don't know how you could, you know, still show your face in public at this point. But really the biggest problem, guys, here is besides some old gray, you know, dumbasses like me who love wood grain, who, you know, are nostalgia addicts, who the hell is going to buy this, right? You couldn't sell enough realistically, right? But if you did want to make it profitable and in-house, there's a couple of things that you would have to do for other people, right? You would have to incentivize a third-party developer. Like if you're trying to get indie developers on board, you would have to give them like 90% of the cut because they're doing all the work. Again, you can't afford to pay them. You have no money, right? You can just say, look, you can make this for this controller and you get 90% of the revenue, even if you only sell, you know, 100 copies, but you already have a game that you've already made and you make it compatible with this, you know, you can play it on the go. Then, hey, there you go. You get, you know, you're not investing that much. You're only converting your game to play with it, and you're getting 90% of the revenue. That could incentivize people, right? Because they're not creating a whole game for the system. They're just passing it over and getting most of the money. And maybe making it open source, again, so people could just work on it. You know, even enthusiasts out there could make their own games and just have Intellivision, you know, get a cut just for putting their stamp on there. You know, I mean, that's basically it. Just to license them out. But you would have to give these companies those kinds of incentives so they can basically work for you for free. I mean, you're not going to get... You know, there's not any more game testers out there that'll work for you for free for nothing, right? But that's really what you're looking at with a company that has no money. It's not that they don't have anything, right? Having no cash doesn't mean that you don't have anything of value, right? What they have of value are those IPs, are those names, yada yada yada. But again, I mean, this thing is just so screwed up. I mean, if you were going to license anything, the one thing that you know that would make you money is the Intellivision Mini. That's what would make you money. That's what you need to license out, and they still won't do it, right? They still won't do it. All these people that believe, whether it's Phil, whether it's John Alvarado, whether it's the board, all these people have enough wealth to fund this, right? If you wanted to make a small run, a tester run, between all these people, they could muster up $5 to $10 million to get the ball rolling. They really could, right? But they don't, right? And that should tell you everything. That should tell you everything. This whole thing is just an exercise of just saying, look, we tried and it didn't work, so we're going to keep the 17 million. At the end of the day, that's really what it is. But I do wish that they would make the controller at least, because that really was a big selling point, and also the albatross of the system. Okay, guys, well, the baby woke up. I need to go change some diapers. Guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.